All right, guys, I've got another news update for you guys. This one, we're going to look at the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. This is something that was signed into effect late last week. Trump signed the executive order about that. I'll also look into what has happened at the White House's crypto summit. Just a quick summary. Well, actually, a particular idea and concept that may be the reason why this is all happening, and we'll see if this is something that may be a reality, and we'll dig into that one a little bit more as well. We also look into this partnership with the Cardano Foundation and Serpro. This is a really big deal here. And also the brand new release of Anzen's USDA, the new stablecoin, the Cardano ecosystem, as well as some updates from the Moneta guys in regards to their platform and how their liquidity is going at the moment. Some really exciting updates there for sure. We'll also have a look at some governance updates with Intersect, as well as some updates from VyFinance with their brand new safe swap, and a couple of news updates from other parts of the ecosystem as well. All right, let's get into it. So first off, if you missed this one here, this was probably the most exciting news update from last week. And this is Trump signing that executive order for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. This is to stockpile those BTCs, those beautiful BTCs, into the Treasury Reserve there. And they will be looking at using seized crypto assets. So seized assets, something from like Silk Road, when that was shut down and all the BTC was seized from that. So they'll be holding onto those assets rather than selling them and dumping them back onto the market. So that is the idea and concept of it at the moment. Maybe it will shift in the future and change, but we're looking particularly at seized assets. Now, so far, this is just Bitcoin. We haven't seen any more details around the other cryptocurrencies that were mentioned, such as XRP, Cardano, Solana, and ETH. But maybe in the future, we'll see some tweaks to that, and we'll see more strategic assets, more digital assets added to the stockpile as well. So fingers crossed we do see that very soon. Now, also from the weekend, we saw this big crypto summit at the White House, and key players there. There are a lot of key players. I pulled up a thing on Grok, this AI thing that X has, and it gave me a quick summary. I did not watch this. I had a quick look about what was happening on X, and it was pretty much a big event where everyone could say thank you to Trump for doing this. And as soon as I heard that, I think the term was circle jerk. And as soon as I read that, I was like, right, okay, it's not even worth watching. So I got some tidbits out of it, and I thought this was probably the most interesting comment. And this is from Import Endorsers. He's a Cardano DRep and quite a prominent player on X here, and I've been engaging with him or her for quite a long time. But this here from Radio Times was an absolutely interesting interview and theory from this economist, Yanis Varoufakis, about what might actually be happening here in the background and why this is all happening. And I absolutely love this theory because it kind of makes sense. In summary, Trump has a big plan to try and bring manufacturing back into the United States. But because the US economy is so strong, exporting those manufactured products to the rest of the world, which is where you make money, isn't really beneficial. You can add in processes to optimize, you can do more automation, you can do AI and all that, and bring down the manufacturing costs. Of course, that's going to take years. You're going to set up a brand new plant, many of which were set up 2 or 3 years ago. Many like TMC, the chip manufacturing from Taiwan, has been setting up plants in the US since 2022. And I think they're going to launch one this year. And that's really exciting for the US. But it takes years to set up these manufacturing plants. But to export that stuff out, you need to devalue the US dollar and make it cheaper so that you can export those things and make them affordable for other countries, especially if those other countries don't have the buying power. What's the point of manufacturing something when it's twice the cost when you export it out? So this is something that they may be trying to do, to try and devalue the US dollar to bring manufacturing in, to make it more profitable to export things around the world. And the second thing here, how to maintain the hegemony of the US dollar and prevent replacement by the Chinese yuan, the euro, Japanese yen, the British pound, or some new BRICS denomination. So they want to maintain the US as the dominant currency. And it's a dominant currency now since World War II, and a lot of it's to do with the strength of the US economy. You know, if you store your value of whatever you're trading it against USD, like we do in the crypto space, we trade ADA and USD because we know the USD is a fairly stable fiat currency, so we don't need to worry about it dropping tomorrow night for whatever reason. So we trade off to the USD because we've got that stability there and the trust within that currency. So if you devalue the USD, how do you keep people using the USD in the future? And I thought that might be a very interesting thing to look into, and there's some comments about that, and I'll bring it up in a second. The last thing here, create a flow of capital into crypto and funnel money into the strategic crypto reserve. That brings the value back into the US economy there. So this is a very interesting conversation here. And let me just play you this clip here so you get a really good summary from Yanis himself.
Besides that, Alexis, I think there's a very interesting and very serious aspect to this reserve that he's pushing forward, which has nothing to do with anything of what I said. And if I'm allowed to just explain what that is. Look, Donald Trump and the very serious thinkers that he's got in his economics team, and I'm saying this as a very harsh and fierce critic of him and his team. So, you know, we need to understand and not to dismiss our opponent as a buffoon. When he may look like a buffoon, walk like a buffoon, but he's not a buffoon when it comes to his economic policy. Right. Look, his long-term project to bring manufacturing back to the United States involves a very delicate exercise. On the one hand, he wants to reduce the value of the dollar, the exchange rate between the dollar and the sterling, the euro, and so on. He wants to bring it down in order to make American exports more competitive and imports into the United States more expensive, and therefore shift jobs back to the Midwest, let's say. At the same time, and that's why I'm saying it's delicate, he wants to maintain the hegemony of the dollar. Right. So he doesn't want some other currency to replace the exorbitant privilege that the dollar affords anyone who happens to be in the White House. And the way he's okay, so how is this connected to Bitcoin and to the reserve, the strategic reserve? For the dollar to fall, he needs the Chinese, the Japanese, the Brits, and the Europeans primarily to sell many of their dollars, of their hoarded bucks, greenbacks. But he doesn't want them to buy the Chinese currency. He doesn't want them to buy the euro. He doesn't want them to buy the British pound, because that would defeat the purpose. So if he can create a flow of capital from the American dollar to a melange of cryptocurrencies, and especially if these cryptocurrencies are backstopped through some kind of stable coin, as it's called, the currency board, by the US dollar, he's achieved his objective. That, I think, is what is really lying at the heart of the thinking behind establishing this strategic reserve of cryptocurrencies.
So super interesting interview there. I will pull links to all of it. It's on YouTube here under Times Radio. Put links to it down below so you guys can watch that as well in its entirety and have a really good understanding of what Yanis here is thinking about. I'll keep an eye on this theory. I really like this theory, and it's quite interesting how it works. And anyone that is holding the various cryptocurrencies that is going to be part of that strategic reserve for this particular mission to bring manufacturing back to the US, I think is going to benefit from this. So it's a wait and see situation, I think, but it's really interesting stuff. Now, to hold onto the power of the USD, this is the important thing here. So we can devalue it, but if it devalues, then you probably ditch it, right? And junk the USD and switch over to something else that's making you money so that you can make a profit. Well, the thing here is the Secretary of the Treasury Secretary, Mr. Bennett here. Bennett, is that how you pronounce it? Besant. He is pushing hard for the global dominance of their stablecoin, the USD stablecoins, whatever it might be. So they're really pushing hard for this. And if you don't have a dominant dollar in terms of value, then maybe a dominant dollar stablecoin in terms of integration and ease of use globally. Remittance is a huge industry. We know that with ANZs, which I'll talk about a little bit later with their release of USDA. But they talk about how remittance is such a big industry, and to be able to pay someone across the world quickly and easily with a stablecoin and stablecoin USD just makes things really appealing. So if you don't have the dominance in its value, maybe have the dominance in terms of integrations and ease of use in all these parts of the world. So this may be why they're pushing so hard at the moment for stablecoins and making this the key thing in regards to what Trump is working on next in terms of cryptocurrencies. So one, we got the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Step two, have that dominance in the stablecoin. So here he also said his agency would work on stablecoin regime and the regulatory certainty for dollar-backed stablecoins and digital asset markets. So this is definitely something that Congress is looking into next. It's the next priority in regards to what they're all working on. So the bottom line here, Trump has checked the Bitcoin strategic reserve off his cryptocurrency to-do list. So it looks like stablecoins are up next. So this is probably the strategy and probably what is actually happening in the background. Now, where was Charles in all this? We thought that he was supposed to be at this crypto summit with the rest of these dignitaries. Where is this screen? With all these people here at this particular crypto summit, but he wasn't there. He was off in Japan for this big crypto meetup, this Cardano meetup in Japan that was organized by some of the organizers there. You can see a lot of people here, a lot of media, lots of cameras, and Charles doing a whiteboard video in this particular conference room. It does look quite nice. There was a little bit of a downside here. So this seemed to have been organized very quickly or promoted rather late. Apparently, some of these events takes months, of course, to organize rooms, etc., etc. It takes months to organize all that stuff, book flights, whatever. But there's a portion of the Japanese community which is really upset at the moment. And this is a SBO Japan Guild, and our group has around 100 SBOs. I wonder how many of them are actually attending this event at the venue. Unfortunately, our group was informed of the event details only 3 days before it took place. It raises suspicions that many SPOs were intentionally excluded. And, there's a lot of rumors going on at the moment. The people that were invited to this, they're holders of, not holders, but they're DReps that have extremely high amount of voting power within the ecosystem at the moment. And there's a big conspiracy saying that they were invited into the room so that they could be influenced to vote a particular way in the upcoming budget. Now, from what I understand, that isn't the case. There's a lot of people refuting that and saying, they organized this in a particular way, and then at the last minute they managed to invite Charles to come over and became a big deal. Otherwise, it would have been a really small kind of thing. But it's still interesting to hear these type of theories, and it would be great to see more people involved in these things. And from what I've seen, the people that were in this particular event have started going to other parts of Japan, so trying to include more people and include the rest of Japan, rest of the ADA holders in Japan that couldn't make it to this particular event. But we'll see how this one goes. We'll see what comes out of this one next. If there are more of these governance meetings, these roadmaps for Cardano and putting out and to bring together the future of Cardano, I'd really like to see what's going on here. Apparently there was a live stream as well, but I couldn't find the details for it at the moment. But anyway, it looked like a very good event. I saw pictures from some of the attendees. I was very jealous. Wish I was there drinking Japanese whiskeys and smoking cigars myself. It would have been quite an experience. But hey, maybe next time, guys. Next time. Anyway, hopefully there were some really good discussions in regards to how governance is going to look like and how the budgets are going to work within the ecosystem. I know there's a lot of debate to go. This next news update I thought was absolutely brilliant, and this is a partnership between the Cardano Foundation and Serpro. Serpro, the largest state-owned IT company in the world, in Brazil to be exact. It's an IT company that services the Brazilian government and does all their infrastructure, security, and everything else around it. So this is quite a big deal. This is a very big company. And we've got the post here from the actual company itself on their main account. So it's very exciting stuff. This is the governing body here, lots of handshakes, the corporate picture that you'd kind of expect. Now let's have a look at some of these details here, and I'll give you a summary of exactly what's happening. So this is the blog post, the media release from the Cardano Foundation themselves. There's an accompanying one from Serpro as well, but it's all in Portuguese. So I'll let you guys read that one yourselves and let you translate it. But here's a summary. This collaboration aims to help accelerate blockchain adoption and digital transformation in Latin America's largest public sector. Serpro processes 33 billion transactions annually. That's a lot of transactions, more than Cardano's doing at the moment, and manages more than 30.4 petabytes of data across various cloud platforms. Serpro's workforce is over 5,000 specialist technology professionals, including 2,000 dedicated developers, powers the digital solutions serving 90% of Brazil's federal administration. Absolutely huge here, guys. This is a very big company, and a lot of high-tech support and IT support and whatnot for the federal administration there. So I thought this was kind of interesting here. I thought I'd just bring this up, and I saw a tweet by Igon as well. They have petabytes of data of decentralized cloud storage. The Brazilian government could take advantage of that and start storing some of their data in a decentralized storage system on Igon. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? I thought that was a really interesting tweet there, and this is definitely something that Serpro could be open to because of this collaboration, and it will reduce on their costs overall, using all these different cloud providers, but putting it on Igon's cloud storage, making it decentralized, cross-border, not bound by data laws in various countries. So I thought that was a very interesting potential there. So I can see a lot of collaborative benefits between Serpro and Cardano in general. Now, further down here, this is a little bit of a detail about what it is. We've seen some of these partnerships, and it's just a presentation at the company, big deal. But they're looking at collaboration. This collaboration will focus on technological innovation, digital infrastructure development, and blockchain education. So they are looking at some sort of innovation and infrastructure development in the organization, not just the blockchain education side of things, which we have seen in terms of Cardano Foundation and NASA, for example, which was a education project to try and bring ideas of blockchain into NASA itself. So that was that collaboration, but this one here seems to be a lot more involved. I did see some other tweets about it, but I couldn't confirm those details. So I'll put them in the links in the show notes down below, but I haven't confirmed myself. So overall, this is a very good partnership. All the links, resources, all the information about this, you can find a lot on LinkedIn as well, but I'll put all the links down below in the show notes for you guys. This next news story is very exciting, and this is one of those projects that I thought would never launch because you'd heard about it back in, I think, 2022, then suddenly it disappeared and got cancelled for whatever reason, but they came back with a vengeance, and this is Anzen's launch of USDA, another stablecoin for the ecosystem, and this one's really cool because it's another fully compliant stablecoin with on and off ramps around the world, and it makes it really appealing for anyone that is wanting to use a particular stablecoin because you need those off ramps. And Encryptus, the company that is partnered up with Anzen's or is part of Anzen's, I forget the particulars there, but Encryptus allow for those on and off ramps, which makes it really appealing for anyone that wants to use a stablecoin. Now, here is some of the details about ANZENS and their USDA stablecoin, and let me just summarize it for you here. The USD stablecoin is a free-flowing DeFi stablecoin. You can use it anywhere in the Cardano ecosystem, but they are looking for centralized exchange listings, so they'll get those up as soon as possible. Its issuance, custody, fiat on and off ramp follow strict compliance through ANZENS and regulated infrastructure partners like BitGo Trust and Encryptus. The BitGo, I believe, hold on to the corresponding backed assets. So that's a really good trust aspect in regards to how it all operates. The issuer, ANZENS, a registered money service business under FinCEN, US financial regulations. Custody, fully backed one-to-one and safeguarded by BitGo Trust. Off-ramp partner Encryptus, a licensed VASP in Europe, expanding regulated access to fiat conversions. These licenses are really important to be able to operate anywhere in the world. And judicial, USDA will be supported in eligible states and countries in alignment with local laws. And I did look into this one as well in regards to where you can actually start tapping into USDA. Now, if you want to find out more, do follow the account here, the ANZENS official account. You can get to their website at anzens.com. And if you are in the US, you can sign up for an ANZENS account at the moment. If you're not, you can't choose any of the current countries here. You will get a warning prompt here saying it's not yet available in your country to be able to mint the USDA. But if you are a US citizen, you can. And they have, I believe it was 14 states, and that's a little less than what we have here with Moneta and the USDM. So I believe they have 18 at the moment. So it's a few more states behind what USDM have at the moment. But, huge congratulations to USDA team for finally executing this and bringing more liquidity to the stablecoin ecosystem for Cardano. I think that's the most important aspect about this. More liquidity that we have in stablecoins, the better for traders within our ecosystem. And on that, Moneta, USDA, more liquidity. This is absolutely brilliant news. Late last week, USDM reserves passed 10 million with another massive mint of USDM in the ecosystem. So this is really exciting stuff. You can check out the USDM official account here on X. But if you check out the dashboard on Charlie 3 is the oracle that is looking at the proof of reserves for the stablecoin. You can see that the value here just over that 10 million mark. I'll bring up the dashboard for you guys so you can actually see the live data that is coming out of the dashboard itself. You see this massive jump here from 7.6 million up to that 10 million mark. So over 2 million minted in that one single transaction. That is absolutely brilliant there. Now you can start trading USDM and USDA in that particular trading pair on Minswap. So Minswap is the first DEX that the USDA team have launched a liquidity pool on. So it's a good start. Lots of users on Minswap and lots of liquidity there in terms of USDM as well. So this is a really good introduction to the ecosystem. And of course, it's on a stable swap pool and it's a V2 pool. So this ensures that your swaps are at have the least amount of price impact and that follows a different algorithm and curve for trading against this particular stablecoin as well. So if you're swapping out $100 of USDM for $100 of USDA, that is what you expect to receive. So there's a slight deviation here and you actually get a little bit more USDA. Anyway, check that out. Now I will be looking forward to seeing the potential of earning farming rewards for providing liquidity in that stablecoin pair. So if you look at USDM, you'll see various farming rewards here for the pairs here. These are the type of pairs I'll be looking at here. Stablecoin to stablecoin, where you aren't too worried about impermanent loss because the value of USD is the same as value of USD elsewhere, or should be anyway. And of course, if you're looking into gaining the fees for a pool like this, it's quite attractive because you don't need to worry about that impermanent loss, but you still get the trading fees off it. So that's what I'll be looking for. Hopefully we do see a farming pool for this particular pair here, because I know these two, I believe these two will be quite popular. Now, I mentioned briefly about the budget and the meetup that was happening in Japan a little bit earlier, but this is an update from Intersect, and there's just one thing I wanted to bring up about this, and I thought this is quite important because it's changing how DReps may actually interact with the whole process of governance, and it's something that I thought may annoy me. So I did have to bring it up. So they're looking at how the whole budget process is working, and this was something that is highlighted here. The Cardano community via DReps remain in control, while Intersect supports with structure and oversight. Okay, so Intersect are just doing things in the background. Cardano community needs to take over. All right, fair enough. Key changes here. Community-driven funding decisions from bottom up. DReps finalize budgets and priorities. Vendors submit proposals directly. Smart contracts to enhance transparency. Net change limit considerations. Okay, so net change limits, fine, fair enough. So let's lower things or increase things. I'm assuming we're lowering things. Smart contracts to enhance transparency. Great, fantastic. I heard Sunday Swap are one of the teams that was working on that. Vendors submit proposals directly. I did read this. So the budget committees, they just set a budget and goals, whereas vendors such as companies out there, such as my own company, could put in a proposal to address the particular goal that the Intersect is putting in place. Now, this is how the Intersect vendor process has been working at the moment, and I kind of understand that. So we're trying to follow that same trend. The first one here, community-driven funding decisions from bottom up. Okay, cool. So the community have more input in regards to what was going to happen in the budget, as opposed to the committees directing what might happen. Cool, that sounds good too. The last one here, which is the second point, DReps finalize budgets and priorities. Okay. From my understanding, the DReps goal was to look at the various governance actions that are out there, and then we can start engaging with our delegates and then vote yes, no, whatever the action might be to progress it forward. So that's a minimal amount of work. Governance action takes about 30 days, roughly, 5 epochs. And then you can have enough time to talk to your delegates, understand the governance proposal, the governance action, and then make an informed decision based on that. So it's a minimal amount of work, and especially when there's only a few of those a year, a few of those a quarter, it's okay. You can handle that. But this here now, DReps finalizing budgets and priorities. This is a lot of work. I've seen the budgets. There's a lot of work in these particular budgets and the priorities and what's going on here. So now we're taking the DReps role away from just voting on the particular governance actions to actually being a part of the entire governance process. So I'm just afraid that we're going to lose people in the governance process here, because we're going from you're not going to do much work to you're doing all the work or a lot of the work. So I'm just afraid of this, of what's happening here. And if that is the direction where things are going to go, I may have to step back as a DRep or not participate in this part of the DRep process. And is that okay? Can I do that? I'm not sure. So this is a little bit of a confusing process at the moment. This is all I've heard at the moment from this long Twitter thread, this X thread, and I've seen a few other people talk about the DReps role on X, but that's all I've seen at the moment. So I don't know where this is going. I'm really confused at the moment, and I know other people are as well. And if the DRep process now has to have that budget work and priorities work, I would have to step out of that part of the DRep role. Does that mean I still can't be a DRep? I don't know. So these are all questions up in the air. Hopefully there's some clarity around this. So if there's anyone else that is a DRep or considering to be a DRep or just registered to be a DRep so they can vote with their own ADA, realize that this may be a part of the process to allow you to vote, or part of the process of just being a DRep. So hopefully it's not, because this is just messing with my head, having to do work for whatever reason, and unnecessary work. There's people that have volunteered for this. I know they're doing it unpaid. I know they're doing it for free, and I think they have to scrap a lot of the work that they've done already and redo things. But it's a hard process. It's a dedicated process, and you're not paid for it. So it's a little hard. Okay, I think I have to end my rant there. I'll keep going on this, but this is just something that you need to be aware of that's happening within Intersect and the DReps and governance process. Now, this news update I thought was pretty cool. And this is something that VyFinance are working on at the moment. This is a brand new Plutus V3. So this is the third generation of Plutus smart contracts. They're the first DEX to release something in V3, which is really cool. So Aiken is, if you're building on Aiken, the smart contract library for Cardano, it executes or outputs, I should say, V2 smart contracts. So if you want to get in the nitty gritty and get up with the latest smart contract features, you need to code it in Plutus or Plutarch, and that will allow you to have V3 smart contracts and have all these fancy brand new things that come with it. And VyFinance are the first ones to produce something from it. And this brand new feature, Safe Swaps, allows you to do peer-to-peer OTC transactions or trades within their DEX. And it allows you to do these things and gives traders more options and make things cheaper. I know a lot of people have been wanting cheaper trades, cheaper transactions, cheaper everything within the Cardano ecosystem to make it more competitive with other chains. And I thought this was a nice way of doing it. So let me just read what Safe Swaps are. Our Safe Swaps allow you to import a receiving wallet, select an asset that you wish to receive, and then the offer you will send in return. The said wallet will have a notification on the VyFi app on their next sign-in, offer them to complete the OTC. This swap can only be complete by the wallet that has been offered the OTC, allowing for private swaps between two individuals on the blockchain. So this is something that you can do with a friend or someone you meet, and they say, hey, I've got a lot of X tokens, I'm trying to offload it, do you want to buy them? And you can do this directly through the VyFi app. You can set up that smart contract and the other person can accept it and execute that particular contract. So it's a nice way of doing it. Kind of works like an escrow in between the two parties, and it takes just a tiny fee in between. So it makes it a lot more cost effective than just swapping on a DEX on the open market there. So that way you can, maybe you traded X amount of VyFi and ADA for, and also threw in a box of cigars. I don't know what it could be. Some old aged whiskey and a box of cigars. So you're going to give it to them a little bit cheaper. So, that's the idea. So you can do those type of trades. And I thought it was pretty cool. So VyFi always bringing some brand new ideas and concepts out there. Thank you for continuously building, guys. I listened to an X Space the other day with Steven as well. I'll put a link to that down below. There's some really cool things coming out of VyFinance, and I always love what the guys are building there. Links down below for you. Now, this I thought was a really big missed opportunity. Now, last Catalyst funding round, Trivol Tech were a really big Indian firm that were trying to build on Cardano. They were putting all of these land titles on the Cardano blockchain, and they needed funding for it. So that's why they went for Catalyst funding. Unfortunately, they didn't get that Catalyst funding, and AVAX heard and took advantage of it, gave them funding, and put all of their work on chain. So, a little disappointing to hear that because they didn't get the funding, someone else took the opportunity and say, hey, use our blockchain. We can give you all this funding, you can get it done and be on chain, and we look good, you look good, fantastic. That's the kind of deals that we really do want to see. Unfortunately, it didn't happen with us. Esco here points it out. The Indian chain would have been absolutely amazing. There's a lot of big builders in the Indian space, and they're doing some amazing things. And I really do hope I can get to Mumbai early next year for WordCamp 2026. And I would definitely do a big meetup and tour around India at the same time, because there's some brilliant builders there. There's some absolutely amazing tech, and I really want to meet some of the people there in person as well. So hopefully we can make that happen. Hopefully I do get over there as well. But this here, big missed opportunity, I think. Maybe, there's lots of land titles. This first 700,000 is just the first step. Maybe we can get the next 2 million land titles. Hopefully we can. I don't know. Fingers crossed, guys, but I think this was a big missed opportunity. Let me know what you guys think down below. This next news story is an ongoing from what Axo have been suffering. Last week, I reported that Axo had moved their governance funds, their treasury funds, I should say, and liquidated them for stable assets. And this was to protect the treasury from falling any further from where it is. So if you have that volatile asset of ADA, the market wasn't doing too well. When it's going down, when you have a company to run, it makes the things really hard. So you want to convert that to a stable coin so that you can have more predicted cash flow. Now, in this case, Axo liquidated some of their treasury, or if not all of their treasury funds, into stable assets, started moving things around. And now this has come out. Generation Lambda is the parent company, the overarching company that looks after Axo. So Generation Lambda is building Axo, and they have gone into liquidation. Now, this is really, really disappointing to see. Some people said they predicted this. They knew it was happening. They saw it happening. When you go to a position where you are liquidating your assets or stabilizing them into a fixed value, then the next thing that usually happens is a liquidation. So that's what people have told me, and this has now come true. So now the Generation Lambda is going to liquidation. I'll put links to this down below. What does it mean for Cardano in general? Overall, just disappointing. It's essentially another failed project on the Cardano ecosystem. It had so much promise. Like Axo, the tech, the idea, the concept, programmable smart swaps, everything around it I thought was absolutely brilliant. That they just didn't gain the adoption and the volume that they needed to actually be a viable product on the Cardano ecosystem. Disappointing overall. Anyway, links down below. Let me know what you guys think. This last news update here, this is my own project. This is CardanoPress. This is bringing every single WordPress website out there the ability to connect and communicate with the Cardano blockchain. The latest version of CardanoPress has been released. We've just updated this to be in line with the latest version of the Cardano serialization library. This library here allows you to write transactions for Cardano, and we've just updated this so that it's up in line with the latest version, version 14. I think we had version 9 previously, so we're quite a few versions behind. So we didn't have a lot of the features and stuff that the latest versions could do, such as DRep transactions such as delegating to a DRep. So now, the next step for the CardanoPress project, we're looking at the ability to build your own DRep website. So if you are a DRep out there and you want to try and build your profile, what better way to do it than with a website? WordPress allows you to build that website. It's really quick and easy to build a WordPress website. You can use page builders and drag drop your images here and do some really cool stuff. But then at the end of it, if you could just click on Delegate, and Delegate, connect your wallet, delegate to a DRep, delegate to a stake pool at the same time, bam, you're done. You don't need to send a user to the GovTools website, copy a particular governance ID, DRep ID, make them search for it there, connect their wallet there, and do all the rigmarole there. So, that gets overly complicated. If you can just get a user to your website, peterbue.com, whatever it might be. That's not my website, by the way. It's learncardano.io. Why don't I use that example? And then you can go to that website, look at the DRep profile, click on Delegate, and bam, you're done. So that's the idea and premise of it. I think we can get there now. Now that we have the ability to write those DRep transactions, let's explore that. Let me know what you guys think. Is that a really good idea? If you're a DRep out there, or if you are thinking about delegating to a DRep, would that be useful for you? I need to know. That's the next stage for this particular project. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you. I've already done the show notes. You can get to this at learncardano.io/podcast. It's the very latest one there. Look for, what do I call this one? Bitcoin Crypto Reserve. I should rename that. White House Crypto Summit, ADA, Cardano ADA News Update 10th of March. So look for that particular news update and you'll get all the show notes, links and references, everything I mentioned in this particular podcast episode. I put it all there. It makes it nice and easy for you guys to follow up and learn a little bit more about the projects that I talk about. But guys, if you enjoyed the podcast episode, make sure you hit that thumbs up, the like, subscribe button on your way out. Leave a comment down below. Work that algorithm for me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.